Hey, what's up? Otakumike here. Let's talk about White Sky issue number 1. Does it live up to the hype? And warning, there will be spoilers. So our story starts out in San Francisco with David and Violet. Something obviously has happened here. There's cars wrecked, there's dead people. Nobody really knows what's really going on at this moment, but David and Violet are trying to get somewhere. And all of a sudden, the weather starts changing and it starts to rain. David kind of freaks out and he's like, Violet, come on, we have to run. It goes from rain to snow and David and Violet are hiding from something. When the snow stops, they get up and Violet's like, it's gone, where is it? Nothing is there. David and Violet actually do make it to a shelter and hunker down there for the night. David is counting bullets, Violet is eating some kind of food out of a can, and Violet makes a little joke saying, I think the bullets are the same count like you counted yesterday because you didn't fire any shots. And David's like, look, I do this thing because my dad did this thing every night after he got home. He would put his change in a big jar and we would watch TV and count all of it. It was just a thing he kind of did. As they're actually getting ready for bed, Violet actually asks her father, David, if she loses her picture of her mother, will she actually stop remembering who she is? Because sometimes she has a really hard time remembering her mom's voice. And David is like, look, your mother is more than just a picture. She is a memory in here and in here. So unfortunately, David and Violet are woken up by a noise that goes bump in the night. David goes to investigate and he finds out there's some raiders around. He unfortunately gets attacked, but he does take a couple of them out in a very violent fashion. And they actually end up getting the best of him and dragging him away. And he's like, no, we can't go. I can't leave my daughter. I can't leave her. So he's telling her to stay inside, stay inside. But she unfortunately yells and makes things a little bit worse. As all this noise and commotion is going on, it actually summons a bunch of ghostly figures who start to come after Violet. Violet is scared and she hears a voice in her head that says, run, run, grab the salt. And Violet's like, I don't know what to do. Can you help me? And she's like, make this salt ring around you and the ghost will not come in. Violet asks for help, but the voice says, I cannot help you whatsoever because it takes all my energy just to talk to you. And as this ghost comes in, starts to try to break the barrier, Violet puts a gun in her mouth, and that's where the issue ends. All right, so let's get into the internal artwork of this issue. Here's your creative team right here. Give them all the love and respect that they deserve. But this issue works very well in the art department, I have to say. It definitely sets the vibe with all the backgrounds and all like the junk and the dead bodies around. It is actually really cool the way like how it transitions from like being normal day to like it's snowing and like it's just a really cool vibe they got going on. Very Walking Dead-esque, I would say, with like the character designs and and the way it's drawn and stuff. It's good, and we get some like really nice subtle moments. I really like how they play with like the light in this. When I see the shadows bouncing off of our characters in this first issue. They play with the light a lot in this first issue in some pretty terrifying ways, I have to say, especially when we get to the more action-packed scenes, which I like the panel layouts, especially this one right here, where we see like the gun getting cocked and firing and stuff. Like I just liked how the panel layouts of that were laid out very well. Very subtle, I feel like, with the action in this, not over the top and stuff. But then we get the big reveal of the ghost, which that is probably the highlight of this issue. We do get a couple little wonky faces here and there. I do feel like in this first issue, some of the characters do not really stay on model sometimes. But hey, that's just a little thing here and there. But the ghosts are the big reveal in this issue. They are like pretty gnarly. Yeah, super awesome artwork, I have to say. Like top notch. So what I think of White Sky issue number 1, well, I actually really did enjoy this book. I know it's getting a lot of hype around the interwebs at this moment. Unfortunately, I was not able to get a first printing because it sold out from all the hype, and I got a second printing. But I did like the fact that this dropped us in to this weird zombie apocalypse, post-apocalyptic-esque world. Just drops us in and hits the ground running. This does have a very good forward momentum with the story. There aren't really any slow parts in this. It like moves at a very brisk pace, I would say, and there isn't a lot of info dumping. but we don't get a lot of questions answered in this first issue. If you have the questions like I had, where, how did this happen and how did the ghost show up, you're not going to find out. We got to continue to read, to be honest, which that was one thing I really liked about this, was the ghosts. Unfortunately, for me, and the internet ruined that big reveal for me. And I knew there were going to be ghosts, but I didn't know what they were going to look like, or where they were going to be, and how they were going to play a part in this. And I liked the fact that we got the ghost at the very end of this issue. They held off on that big reveal, which I felt made for a more impactful story in this first issue, which I really liked. It very much plays with a lot of the tropes I feel like we have with like zombie apocalypse stories. Very much like Walking Dead, sort of Last of Us vibes I get from this book, but I feel like they're twisting it a little and sort of doing their own thing with it. Like, how are they gonna kill ghosts if the ghosts are already dead? And like, where is this story gonna go? I do know that this story is Violet's story moving forward. If you do read the back matter in this, you do find out that this is going to be her story. Yes, David will be in this story here and there, but this is her story and her story of survival. I'm just enamored, and and I really like this. I like that I don't know anything about this, and that's probably what hooked me so far. I hope they do explore things, like maybe tell us how things came to be, and I want to see Violet and her dad get reunited for sure. But I would love to hear your thoughts down below. I'm Otakumike. Peace out. Stay safe. Did you read White Sky? Did you fall for the hype? Let me know. Comment.